So in this video, I'm just gonna cover how to add the individual controllers for the full role. Um, just gonna talk as I go. So this video might be a little bit long. So for this to work, to activate the foot controllers, we're going to select them, find them in your hierarchy, just so we know where all the groups are located. And also, before we do anything else, make sure you unlock all the offsets. So unlock them, and same with the spaces, just so we don't have anything jumping around or doing anything weird. The next thing is we're going to create a controller here in this position. And as you can see, this locator is actually giving us the position of this group, right? The one in the front. And as you can see here in the attribute section, see that the controller, the rotation in X and Y of that group is being connected to something, right? And that something is the system that was created by the tool. So that's the one that's gonna give us this nice roll. So that's where that connection is coming from. And we don't wanna break that connection. What we want to do is create and that's, let's say, a secondary thing that goes inside that will get the information as well from that role, but it also will allow us to modify whatever it has underneath in the hierarchy. So it's very simple. I'm just going to select this group. So the one that is, as I mentioned before, we're the one that is located in the top, in the front. And if you want to double check that that's the one in the front, just select it and then activate your moving tool, so you see where the pivot is. And then in rigging tools, I'm going to create a new locator. Sorry, not locator, control. In this case, I'm going to go for the one-way circle arrow. And I know that my X axis is this one, so I'm going to orient it to the X. And then the scale in 1 should be fine. I don't want to have any constraints, so this is empty, but I do want to have an offset just in case to keep the controller clear. Then click create. Now you have this control. And I created a group here, right? So group offset control. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place this group, this whole group, I'm going to place it inside this group, right? Just parent it inside. And then whatever was inside this group, first I'm going to move this on top so I don't get lost. That's the new thing we just created. Whatever is inside this group, before I added the other one, I'm just going to place that inside the new controller, except for the locator. That locator should stay in this group. So I'm just going to parent it there. Make sure that nothing jumps around. If something jumps or moves, it's because placed it in the wrong place. So now to test it out, I'm going to rotate this. And as you can see, now we get this rotation. And we also get this roll. So now they're additive. I could rotate this way. And I could also keep using the roll, right? So it becomes like an additive system thing. Now, if you don't like the size of this control, you can always scale it down using this. Or from the very beginning, when you create it, you just give it a scale. So though I was just using 1 as a default, you can use it at 0.5 probably, will give us a nice size. So that's one. And as you can see now, it's called the foot from. This is a very long name. What I'm gonna do is just gonna call this. I'm just going to delete that offset from it. So it's left foot front control. You could also rename this offset if you need it, but it's really not important. As long the last word is offset, we can always lock it automatically with our tool. So it should not be an issue. So that's the very first one. Now I'm gonna also give it the color, so it's blue. I don't need to do that with these ones. I don't think it's that important. And the last one, since this foot control is simple, there's no toe bending. If there were, then you will have to do the same for the toe bend and for the ball bend. So usually there will be two controllers here, but in this case there's not. And then the next one is the one at the hill. So if I select the locator at the hill, you'll see that the group this locator is let's say controlling is this one, right? So I'm just gonna do the same. Select that group, come to my tool, and again press create. Now we have that nice controller. Again, I'm gonna scale it down because I forgot to change to give it a smaller scale. And the next thing I'm gonna do is gonna select this locator again so I don't get lost. So it's this one. I'm gonna make everything else smaller so I don't get too lost. So now I know that all this has to go inside this guy's control. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select this group. I'm going to place this group inside this one, put up so it's visually easier to recognize, and then all this goes inside this one. There you go. Now if I test it, it should work fine. Now this gives us this control. If you go down, this is normal. It's normal that happens. So it's mostly for this motion, and this one for this motion, right? You also get this motion and this motion, which is what we already have here as rolling and twisting, right? So it's just the same, but you have better control and better positioning you need to animate. Now, if you wanted, you could add the ones for the banking, but to be honest, I don't really see the need for that if we already have one that does that for us. So I think these ones are more important. I'm just going to add the color, and now we have that control. And don't forget to also lock any attributes that are not needed. So in this case, we don't need scale or visibility. You can just hide those right away and lock them. You do need rotation and translation, just in case you want to do something like this, right? Although for that we have this one, but it's always good to have extra stuff in it. I'm just gonna do the same on the other side very quickly. Gonna double check that everything is there. Yeah, so I'm just gonna compare that to this one. Making sure that it's the same content. Yeah, so they both have the same content. We have the IK handle, the two locators there. So perfect. I'm gonna go on this side. Why is this? I don't get too lost. Like this. Create. And again, I always get a little bit lost. I select hill. That's the one that I need. There. Then get this. So now again, I can just scale these guys down. Believe I'm doing it 6 times. No, I don't know. Like this. Make it red. Perfect. Now I can just hide this locator visibility. And I believe we're good to go. Let me just lock this as well. There you go. Now, before I forget, don't forget to rename these controllers. We don't want to have these weird names. one thing that is good to know, or yeah, it would be good to just delete that pivot. Is it called? Delete just the words pivot offset from it, because in my next update of the tool, the controllers are gonna use the same name. So for just for the easy selection, let's start to keep it with the same naming convention. So just delete this pivot offset from the control name. So there you go. Left foot heel control, left foot front control, right foot front control, and right foot heel control. Keep everything the same, and in theory, then they should also work the same way. Okay, so I'm gonna save this file. Another thing before I finish this video is that um, one more thing I added this week is the option to, or last week actually, is the option to lock or to finish up your rig. So there is this button called Finalize Rig. What it does is it will first double check that there are no keyframes in your file, because sometimes when we are when we are skinning, we need to add some keyframes just to test the deformation. It will check for that. It will check for um, the clusters. It will check for each skinning cluster and check that there are no influences that are not being used. So any influence that is not used, it will get taken out or removed from the skin cluster just to make it more optimized for the engine. And it also will delete any nodes or anything that is not being used. So any unused node will also get rid of. And let me just double check what else. I don't remember what else I added to this. So we'll check for any unused nodes, delete any unused influences, any animated objects. It will delete the keyframes and set them to 0 again. And it will also check for double or for multiple bind poses. So we should only have one bind pose per skeletal mesh. So we'll also check for that. And if it does find one, it will create just one for the whole rig. And it also gives you notifications. If you find something, it gives you the option to whether proceed to delete it or not. You can also skip it if you are just testing or something. So I'm just gonna click finalize rig, and for example, it found two unused influences right now in your setup. So I'm just gonna say yes, I want to remove them, and it also found two bind poses. So now it's going to create a unique bind pose. I'm gonna say sure, and then congratulations, no errors, and everything has been locked. So it also automatically locks down the rig. What it means is it selects all the offsets and lock them. As you can see, they are already locked and hidden. Same with the spaces. It locks and hide them right away. And if you're using the new, which I see you are using the new root system, you will also lock the geometry, lock the skeleton, and hide the skeleton. There's another thing it does. I just see that it doesn't work in your case because I believe you modified the root, so now those connections are not there anymore. But by default, it will lock it automatically for you.